Decoded.
Welcome back to Book Decoded. You know, sometimes I feel like the self-help section of the bookstore is just a bit much.
Oh, tell me about it. So many promises.
Right, and quick fixes and all that. But every now and then you find one that just grabs you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me with Abundant Ever After.
By Cathy Heller.
Yes. Have you read it?
I have. What I love about Cathy Heller is she's got this way of blending, the practical stuff with a little bit of that woo-woo wisdom. And I think that's what makes her work so interesting, because she's not just, some guru up on a mountaintop.
Right.
She's like out there in the world. She's a coach. She's got her own podcast, Don't Keep Your Day Job, which is pretty fitting, right?
I love that, yeah.
And she's a musician. Like, seriously, is there anything this woman can't do?
Right. So talented.
Yeah.
That definitely comes through in the book. And one of the things that really grabbed me was how she uses this metaphor of a radio.
Oh, the radio metaphor. Yeah.
To represent our ability to, tune into abundance.
It's so simple, but it just makes so much sense, right? Like, think about it. You can adjust the dial on a radio to find different stations, each broadcasting its own unique signal. And Heller suggests that we can do the same thing with our own energy, choosing what kind of abundance we want to experience.
Yeah, and I love that she uses that image of the Sony boombox.
Oh, yeah. Those were the days.
Right, with the giant antenna, you had to adjust just right to get that clear signal.
Totally. It's like we're all walking around with these internal antennas, but we might not even realize we have the power to adjust them.
And that's where it gets really interesting, right? Because she goes on to say that abundance isn't about external things.
An inside job.
Yeah. It's about cultivating that mindset from within.
And she has this great story about when she was living in Jerusalem with her family.
In that tiny apartment.
Tiny. Crowded. You'd think she would be feeling anything but abundant.
Right.
But she talks about this incredible sense of community and connection, purpose even, that made her feel abundant, despite not having much physical space.
It reminds me of that saying, home is where the heart is. It really is about how you feel, right?
It really is. It challenges those traditional ideas about abundance, doesn't it?
Totally. Because we so often think of it as, money or possessions.
Right.
But she's saying it's about this deeper sense of fullness and satisfaction.
And that's actually backed up by research, on happiness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, studies have shown that material wealth only gets you so far. True fulfillment comes from meaning, connection, purpose, that kind of stuff.
Which reminds me of that story she shares about Matthew McConaughey on her podcast.
Oh, McConaughey, I love him.
Me too. He was talking about coming out to his dad about wanting to be an actor.
Oh, yeah. What a great story.
And it just really highlights that importance of aligning with your true self, even when it feels scary,
What's so interesting about that story is his dad's response, right? Because it wasn't the typical, no way you're going to be a lawyer.
Right.
It was this total trust in his son's intuition, you know?
His dad basically said, go for it.
Yeah. It makes you think about how many of us are living out somebody else's expectations instead of really embracing our own unique calling.
Okay, this next idea really blew my mind. She talks about the somebody suit. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. It's a term she gets from Ram Dass, the spiritual teacher.
Right. And it's this idea that we create this identity for ourselves.
It's like a costume we put on.
And it can limit us to the rules of time and space.
Right. But the question is how much of our reality is actually shaped by those labels we give ourselves?
Whoa, that is deep.
Right. It's like, do we become trapped by those identities?
Or can we transcend those limitations?
That's the big question. And it's something we all have to grapple with on our own journeys, But Heller is suggesting that true creation, true abundance, happens when we shed that somebody suit.
When we connect with that deeper part of ourselves.
Exactly. That part of us that exists beyond those self-imposed limitations.
And speaking of limitations, she also talks about overcoming all that external noise.
Oh, the noise.
All those distractions and negativity that pull us away from our true selves.
It's everywhere, isn't it? Especially in today's world, with social media and the news cycle and everything constantly demanding our attention.
It's so overwhelming. Like, how many times have you felt pulled in a million different directions? Just completely overwhelmed.
All the time. It's like this mental static that makes it hard to hear your own inner voice.
It's like trying to have a conversation in a crowded room.
Yes. You can barely hear yourself think.
Exactly. And Heller actually shares a story about feeling lost in a high-powered job.
Oh, yeah, where she wasn't fulfilled at all.
Even though she was making good money, It wasn't aligned with her passion, and she felt like she was living someone else's dream.
That feeling of being out of alignment can be so draining.
It's like wearing shoes that are 2 sizes too small.
Yes. You can force yourself to do it, but it's not going to be comfortable or sustainable in the long run.
So how do we learn to recognize and filter out that external noise? Because it seems like it's everywhere these days.
So, we can't just build a soundproof bubble around ourselves.
Life's going to happen.
Exactly. So we need to figure out how to live in this world without getting completely swept away by it all.
So what's the secret?
Well, one of the things that Heller really stresses is self-care.
Self-care. I feel like that word gets thrown around a lot.
It does, but she's talking about it as a necessity, not a luxury.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Right. It's not selfish. It's actually essential for receiving abundance.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. If we're running on fumes, we're not going to have anything left to give.
To ourselves or to others, right?
Exactly. And she talks about this research from Dr. Jennifer Wallace.
Oh, I remember that part.
She's a psychologist, and she talks about how vital it is for mothers to prioritize their well-being.
Because it impacts their kids, right?
Yeah, exactly. A mother's well-being is directly linked to her children's resilience.
It makes you think about all the messages we get about self-sacrifice, especially for women.
Oh, for sure.
Like, we're supposed to put everyone else's needs first.
But Heller's like, nope. Taking care of yourself is non-negotiable.
And it's not just bubble baths and face masks.
Right, it's deeper than that.
It's about setting boundaries, saying no when you need to.
Making choices that actually nourish you, mind, body, and spirit.
Because if we're constantly depleted, we're not going to be able to tune into that frequency of abundance, really.
Exactly. You can't receive if you're not taking care of the vessel, so to speak.
Oh, that reminds me. The power of receiving. That was a big one for me.
Oh, tell me about it. That's a tough one for a lot of people.
I know. Why is it so hard to just let good things flow in?
Well, I think for a lot of us, we've been conditioned to believe that we need to earn everything.
Or that we're not worthy.
Yeah, and that can make it hard to receive without feeling guilty or like we need to give something back right away.
Yeah. It's like we have this resistance to letting good things in.
And what Heller argues is that receiving is actually an act of love and generosity in itself.
Oh, that's interesting. How so?
It allows the other person to experience the joy of giving. And it's about acknowledging our own worthiness to receive those gifts.
She had that funny story about not wanting to let her husband buy her a car.
Oh, yeah, Lowell. I love that story.
It's so relatable. I mean, why was she so resistant?
Well, she felt guilty. Like she didn't deserve it. But her therapist helped her see it from Lowell's perspective,
Oh, right. He wanted to express his love for her through that gesture.
Exactly. And by refusing, she was kind of depriving him of that opportunity.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even think about how our actions impact the other person.
We're so caught up in our own heads.
Right. So it's about letting go of that resistance and just allowing that flow of giving and receiving.
Exactly. It's a dance,
I love that. A dance of abundance.
And remember, abundance isn't a finite resource.
That's right. There's enough to go around for everyone.
We don't have to fight over scraps. There's a whole buffet.
Ooh, I like that analogy. So instead of that scarcity mindset, it's about cultivating this abundance mindset.
Exactly. Opening ourselves up to receive all the good that's waiting for us.
Now, this is a topic that I think is especially important for women. Heller dedicates a whole chapter to the wealthy woman within.
It's so empowering.
It is. It's about embracing our worth and stepping into our power.
Because so often we're taught to undervalue ourselves, right?
Especially when it comes to money. I mean, she tells that story about asking for a raise at her old job.
And she was so nervous.
But you know what? She got it. No problem.
Which just goes to show we often underestimate our own worth and hold ourselves back from asking for what we deserve.
And then she compares it to her male colleague who just confidently asked for even more and got it.
It's like, come on. But it really highlights how societal expectations and gender roles play into this whole money thing.
It's so true. We're often taught not to rock the boat.
To be accommodating.
Which can make us hesitant to assert our needs and really claim our worth.
And that can have a big impact on our financial well-being, for sure.
So Heller's message is all about breaking free from those limiting beliefs and stepping into our full potential.
Both personally and professionally, yes. Owning our worth.
It's so important to remember that, you are worthy.
Absolutely. And you know what else she talks about? The importance of energy, like how it impacts our ability to receive.
Oh, yeah, like vibes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
She says when we're operating from this place of lack, we actually repel abundance.
That makes sense, yeah.
But when we shift to gratitude, joy, worthiness, we become magnets for the good stuff.
So it's like we're sending out a signal to the universe.
Exactly. And the universe is like, okay, you want more of that? Coming right up.
I love that. It's almost like, the law of attraction.
Yeah, but it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about aligning your whole being with that frequency of abundance.
Thoughts, feelings, actions, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang, exactly. And she talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people.
Oh, your tribe.
Exactly. Are the people in your life supportive and inspiring?
Or are they dragging you down?
Because you become like the people
Yeah.
you spend the most time with, right?
Totally. Energy is contagious.
It really is. And there's this really powerful chapter where she talks about empowering women.
The wealthy woman within.
Yes. And she shares a story about her own mother who had to give up her dream of being on Broadway.
To get married and raise a family.
Which was the expectation back then, But she saw her mom's unfulfilled dreams and vowed to create a different path for herself.
It's like she was breaking free from those old societal norms.
And she's encouraging all of us to do the same, to embrace both our feminine essence and our ambition.
To go for it. And to ask for what we want.
Right. She tells that story about being nervous to ask for a raise.
But she did it anyway.
And guess what? She got it.
So we shouldn't be afraid to ask, even if it feels a little uncomfortable.
Exactly. We deserve to be compensated for our value. And remember that story about the car? And how she didn't want to let Lowell buy it for her.
Yeah. What was up with that?
It all comes back to wordiness, right? Thinking she didn't deserve it. But sometimes the most loving thing we can do is to allow others to give to us.
It's true. It's like we're giving them a gift by receiving.
Right. It allows them to express their love and care for us.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of things. Mindset, self-care, receiving, energy, and so much more.
The whole abundance buffet.
Right. So what's the bottom line? What's the one thing you want people to take away from this deep dive into abundant ever after?
I think it boils down to this. Abundance is an inside job. It's not about chasing external things. It's about cultivating that feeling of fullness and worthiness from within.
It's about tuning into your own unique frequency of abundance.
Exactly. And when you do that, you'll start to attract all the good things that are meant for you.
Love that. This has been such a fun and inspiring conversation. I know I'm walking away with a whole new perspective on abundance.
Me too. I always love chatting with you about these empowering books.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into abundant ever after. We hope you feel inspired to create a life that is truly abundant in every way.
And remember, abundance is not a destination, it's a journey.
So enjoy the ride.